Hello and welcome to the First Issue Club podcast, the weekly podcast where we cover first issue comics and comic book news. We got a twofer here because we're covering something that is a spiritual number one, a kicking back into a franchise, and extreme comic book news. We're covering Saga number 55.
I don't want people to give me receipts for this podcast and say I want a refund because we're not covering a number one. So,
Well, thank God this podcast is free.
I just want to make that clear.
Keep your receipts.
Yeah, we're not going to give you a refund on this one.
We'll give you the First Issue Club customer service line.
Could you guys sleep with all the commotion last night for the midnight release of Saga 55 at all your local comic book stores?
Did you guys go to that?
No.
Okay.
I got the swag.
Did you? What was it?
There was swagger to be purchased?
Yes, not to be purchased. There was a midnight release wherein you got 2 temporary tattoos,
Okay.
2 stickers, a set of 4 buttons, and a bookmark.
You got all that?
I got all that.
I'd love to take a peek at that.
What
at
were
some
the
point.
temporary tattoos, if I may ask?
One was
That's
of
the thing you're inquiring about?
Hell yeah.
The
One-
least desirable?
one was of the cover, and the other was, I think, a heart that says Saga in it.
Interesting. Okay.
Oh.
Yeah.
The stickers, are you going to stick them on your
Trevor Keeper?
your water bottle? What's that called? Emotional water bottle?
Here's what I did. I took each temporary tattoo and each sticker, and they got their own bag and board.
Oh, hell yeah.
And
There
I'm
you go.
preserving them indefinitely.
Okay.
You know what? I
It's
saw
going to be is worth as much as your X-Men cards.
I saw people putting on eBay like midnight launch pack and selling it for like $18.
Okay.
And I was like,
Stupid.
no.
Yeah,
These are
stupid.
like flimsy, dumb giveaways that like no one should be paying a premium for. I think people are thinking there's a midnight release like special cover,
Right.
and that's why they're spending almost $20 on eBay to get the A cover of Saga, which I'm pretty sure is the only cover of Saga. So you've been swindled if you made this eBay purchase.
Cool thing that Image is doing, or maybe Brian K. Vaughan is doing, is keeping this at $2.99.
Yeah, that's so cheap. I couldn't believe it.
Yeah. You could buy 2 at that price.
40 pages of just fucking great comic for $2.99.
Yeah,
It's cheaper than a pack of cigs.
anything that saves my money, I double up on. I just multiply how many I'm buying, so it would cost the normal cost.
Right.
Oh, yeah, like
Just
you-
for your comic book budget.
You
so you
always
throw it
want to
off.
spend the amount.
Totally,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense to me. Brian K. Vaughan and Fiona Staples did a bunch of promo all over Instagram and Facebook and all of that kind of stuff.
Oh,
So,
really?
Yeah, they seem like nice people. You could get some like autographed books by them if you retweeted shit. So a lot of hype. This was all over my internets.
Do you think this was more hyped because of the gigantic success outside of the comic book shop that this book has become?
Or because of the Taco Bell commercial.
Dong.
I think this was hyped because this was more successful than probably any independent book that they had like previously thought that it could be.
I
Maybe-
think this has eclipsed like Spawn in popularity.
The only thing that I would think like gives it a heavyweight chance is like Walking Dead or Umbrella Academy
Mm-hmm.
or The Boys.
So, like, are you saying like as soon as this gets like greenlit for a TV show or a movie, it's like
Gonna
game
be
over?
game fucking over. No more
It's-
comics will be printed ever.
I, honest to God, thought Saga would never come back. And part of that is because Brian K. Vaughan started working in Hollywood.
Yeah.
He wrote a show. He's got not only Why the Last Man,
Well, you know,
but Paper Girls is like
Mhm.
in production, or at least like cast, I think.
but you
That's
know,
in production,
you know,
yeah.
he wrote like a handful of Lost shows, so he's been
I-
in a minute.
I think you've told me that 25 times.
Okay, well, I just want you to know in case
So
you
this
didn't
makes
know.
26.
Well, there you go. Okay, another reason to like him in case you didn't like him already. Big fan, big nice guy. Seems nice from his letters to editors. So I'm just wanted to, a guy who
talk
needs
about his Lost writing.
a guy who needs hype. I want to throw on that hype train. If he wants to come on this podcast, he's welcome to.
Okay, we'll let him know.
He doesn't have any hair on the top of his head, so I feel bad for him when you
That-
think about it.
Maybe he embraces the baldness.
Like Mike D.
Yeah,
Yes, I decided at a young age just to go for it.
yeah, like around 14.
It's giving you more power.
It has indeed.
You would have worked at McDonald's your whole life had you not gone that route.
I think so. The confidence that it gives me is I don't know. I'm at a loss for words.
They say that men who are bald suffer from an excess of testosterone. Can you corroborate that?
I can't confirm. When I go to my high school reunions,
Oh yeah.
I walk in with this fucking swagger that
Yeah.
you can't believe, and everyone says, "You haven't changed at all," and I
Yeah.
say, "That's because my face will never change because I was bald in high school, bitch."
They say, "Is that suit rented?" Saying, "I own this bitch."
You have the stride of a man 15 years younger.
This is the same tuxedo I wore to prom, bitches.
Men's Warehouse. It ain't cheap.
Cummerbund and all.
It's still the same corset. What's that thing called?
Corsage.
There we go.
Yeah. Mike D wore a corset on his
Corset, yeah.
prom.
Just so I could fit the cummerbund.
He wanted his bosoms to really pop.
We got comic book news, kind of. I was just gonna mention that God of Hammers dropped in Thor
21?
20.
Right.
Is it 20? I think it's 20.
20 was the cameo. 21
Yeah,
was
you're
the one
right.
that just came out.
Okay. Which is not that big a deal, except for it was like this joke in the MCU because, like, it was said in a dream. It was like, Thor, are you God of Hammers? And now it's like a real thing, and Donny Cates is kind of fucking with it. I'm only bringing it up because have you seen what God of Hammers looks like? This is a spoiler, by the way. If you guys,
Does he look like a regular dude? Like his name's Gary or something?
that would be awesome. So it's I believe it's wielding Mjolnir.
Oh, so he can wield hammers.
Yeah, and it is,
Mjolnir's been missing for the last few issues of Thor.
and it's literally just a bunch of blue squiggles.
Oh, okay, so he's like energy.
Yeah, but it's like weird because it almost like if you didn't know what you're looking at, you'd be like, is that drawn by an adult? It's not bad art. It just is
Sure.
it's so amorphous that it's like squiggly.
Do you think at some point he'll or they will adapt a
To a
more
form?
concrete form?
They kind well, I don't want to give anything away.
Like the more hammers they collect?
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. So you guys weren't on the hype train of God of Hammers?
No.
Okay.
I've been reading Thor,
Okay.
Brag.
but the God of Hammers wasn't something where I was like, I've
Oh,
been
God.
waiting and waiting.
You were more into this Black Panther first appearance.
I was more excited to see what that was about.
Okay.
And I was kind of bummed. Okay, can we talk about that as a bit of news?
Yeah, please. Yeah.
I was kind of bummed that it wasn't like part of the A story. It was just a backup story. And
Interesting.
seems like it could be nothing. You know how when they do so the third issue of this run of Black Panther is also the 200th issue. So they said, let's do it up style, add some extra stuff.
Yeah.
Junie Ba,
Mm.
who wrote Monkey Meat that we talked about a couple weeks ago,
Mhm.
did a really fun like folklore
Oh,
Black
that's cool.
Panther kind of backup story that I liked. And then they did a kind of background origin on this new character that exists really far in the future. And there's some value in it. I don't think you guys have read this backup story yet.
No.
The core premise seems to be there were people who rejected Wakandan society who were part of the like original tribe of people
Mm-hmm.
and were like, we don't like all the technology and power and the lust for possessions, and you guys are trying to bend the what's the metal called?
Oh, vibranium.
Vibranium to your will. We think we should bend to the vibranium's will. So what they've at least created or accomplished in this that I was kind of piecing together as I read it was they're making a Wakandan hero that's like even a little bit identifiable with like your self-identity, because T'Challa, he's one of these Tony Stark types that was
yeah.
like born rich, super genius, raised a royalty, became a king.
Cool.
So I'm interested to see where that goes.
Okay.
They said in part of the book that it's like, hey, we're going to see more from this guy, and he's going to have to time travel to make it back to
Mm-hmm.
main storyline, or it's just going to be a side story thing, which part of my thinking is that it's going to end up being a part of Timeless,
Oh, for
Oh,
sure.
okay.
which is the
How far in the future is this person?
very far. He talks about like our ancient ancestors,
Okay.
and then they show T'Challa
So it's
and
not like
Killmonger.
2099 Black Panther or some shit.
I don't think so. I think it's way further than that.
Like
3099.
like when the world
Yeah, probably 3099.
like when the ice caps melt type of thing.
Yeah. So next week.
You know what? They didn't put the ice caps in this.
Oh
Oh,
god.
I wish Marvel would have been braver.
If there's an email address in the back of I'll check it again and
Okay,
see
please,
if I can
yeah,
ask
see-
Yeah.
somebody.
Maybe
Let's
there's a-
address the ice cape.
Maybe there's a
Yeah.
phone number or
How
an
did the-
address.
What happened
Cap,
with the
excuse me.
climate crisis?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where do we fall with fracking in 3099?
How's the bird flu treating you?
Yeah.
Uh,
What animal has passed on their flu to humans? Are we on to hippo yet?
Hippo flu. So that's your insider deep cut Marvel background take
There you go.
on this new character.
Two news hits. They're both Marvel new first appearances, and we can get in the book now. Unless Greg, you got some news.
No, I read a bunch of comic books today that I'm going to talk about on the Patreon.
Okay.
So if you want to hear all the cool books that I read,
We also have a crazy game on the Patreon where
yeah, I'm confused about what this game is, and you say there's a prize
the prize
to be
is,
won.
the prize is to not be fucked with.
I hope it's your friendship.
That's always on sale.
Yeah.
While we're mentioning things that you can do, remember that we are sponsored by Boulevard Brewing Company,
Mm-hmm.
specifically the Space Camper beer, which is the official beer of First Issue Club. And if you are not drinking it now, you should be drinking it while you're listening to this podcast. It's mandatory.
Yeah. If you're drinking it while you're listening to us, it's almost like you're in the same room with us drinking a beer.
Yeah.
And that's a good way to forget about life for a
And I
little bit.
believe it's legal to drink while your Tesla is driving you and listen to this podcast.
I'll have to check the laws.
Okay. I don't know. Don't quote me on that.
Can I tell you guys about a very unique opportunity coming soon where you can get Boulevard beer for a friggin' year?
Please go on.
Well, I think First Issue Club is going to be part of a charity event coming soon.
Yes, we are. 4 great Kansas City podcasts. We're coming together to host a charity Mario Golf event to benefit the Kansas City Hope House.
Yes.
And Boulevard Brewing Company has gotten into this with us to contribute a raffle prize. We have our own prize that we're going to be giving up.
Oh, can we talk about that?
If you wish,
Friggin' PlayStation 4.
Oh.
not only a PlayStation 4, a special edition PlayStation 4.
It's like engraved with Last of Us 2
Mm-hmm.
artwork,
Yep.
which
Game included.
may sound corny, but is actually very cool
Dope
looking.
as shit.
I think is it a PS4 Pro?
Yeah, it's like the top of the line
I think
before
it is.
PS5 came out.
Yeah.
And if you're a data miner or a
Yeah, I was
crypto
gonna
guy,
say.
fucking take it and take the fucking graphics card out of
Yeah.
there, my dude.
Just go, baby.
Mine, baby.
they're still making PS4 games, or worst case scenario, you want a PS5, sell this.
Yeah, they're backwards compatible.
Yeah.
They go up high on eBay. These
Give this to your
Last of Us PS4s.
like your person you have a crush on. If you win this, give it to the person you have a crush on.
And then say this is...
Guaranteed consensual smash.
Yeah, if you give it to the person you have a crush on, you have not even dated, and you say this is going to be for our future kid, you're definitely going to go on a date with
Yeah,
that
that's like
person.
a proposal.
Yeah, that's great. That's the way to do it.
Yeah, so we have a PS4 we're giving away. Boulevard fucking raised the stakes on us and is giving away free beer for a year
Yeah.
as a raffle gift, which is fucking crazy.
Yeah, it's so cool.
So if you're in the Kansas City area and you are available March 6th, come down to Cinder Block Brewing Company in North Kansas City. We'll be hosting the event. Come watch us play Mario Golf, joke around with us. We got other stuff they're going to be doing. Bid on these raffle things. You could win PS4. You could win a free beer for a year from
Yeah.
Boulevard Brewing Company and so many other great raffle gifts.
They say the only way to truly be sorry for your sins is to atone for them, so come here and atone for your sins.
Oh, we're offering. I mean, what kind of value is that?
Yeah,
Right.
what's it called when the
Offering
Catholic Church
an
sells you a
opportunity
ticket
for
to heaven?
atonement.
Yeah, exactly.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, so it's priceless, really,
Yeah.
when you think about it.
Wow.
Your mortal soul essentially saved
Mm-hmm.
for possibly pennies on the pound?
Yeah, nothing, just your attendance.
Yeah.
All right, finally, let's get into this book.
Okay, and can I disclaimer first that if you want to read issue 55 completely pure, obviously we're going to spoil the thing. We're going to be
Right.
talking about
Just like every week.
yeah, we might
Yeah.
reference some stuff that's happened in the 54 issues leading up to
Here's
this.
a little challenge for us, though. I think we can talk about the book
Mhm.
without using proper nouns.
I hate this idea.
Yeah, so
Oh.
far.
Oh,
I
really?
hate rules on my
Well, no.
discussion.
I'm just saying, like, we don't have to be like, well, technically,
Proper
Alana,
nouns.
or like, technically Marco, and like things like that, because the heads of like Saga would like that. But like, you know, if you're a big fan of Saga, you're probably a fan of like, I don't know, chips and air. But I think that
What did you just say?
Chips as in potato chips.
potato
and
chips and,
air,
like,
and as
it-
the thing we breathe.
like
These were the two prime examples of things everyone likes that you came up with.
I was thinking like air and chip. Yeah, people like those things.
Potato chips and air. Okay.
So I was thinking that we could cover the comic book in general references without having to be like, oh, so and so, blah blah blah.
Well, the beautiful thing about this book is it was written so well, you kind of don't need a extreme back knowledge of the previous 54 issues.
Point number 1. Is it accessible for new readers? Is this a jumping on point, or do you need to start Saga from the beginning?
So I think that it's going to be a little bit of like you're gonna have FOMO reading it and being like, wait a minute, what did I miss? But I think it is possible, though maybe not designed, to read straight up, which is just, you know, the chops of the writing.
I'll be devil's advocate here. I say if you have been hearing the whispers of the Saga hype and you're just like, I'll check this book out, you won't be totally lost. You can get through it, enjoy it, kind of infer what's happened because they kind of hold your hand through a couple parts of explaining what's happened. And this is great for Image because it kind of encourages you to go read the backlog because it's a captivating book and will bring on even more readers than it already has.
My take is that what's been preceded by this new issue is a 54 issue epic that is not to be missed. And I would hate for someone to spoil even a tidbit of the conclusion by reading this book. So I say for Mike D, don't recommend reading without having read the back catalog.
I would say
Read the there. You can get a compendium of all the issues
for like $40.
for like $40. Read that. You're gonna be
Yeah.
enraptured by it. And then when you read, like, when you're like, sweet, I can go into my comic shop and catch up in like a month or two.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
I would say
Great.
it's not designed to just jump in. You could do it if you're like me and you don't really give a shit about spoilers. I think you would be fine. What I loved about reading this book, though, is it reminded me of like, oh yeah, this is my soap opera. This is like,
Oh, okay.
Does that make sense though? Like where
Yeah.
it's like,
So, but a soap opera is almost like a guilty pleasure.
well, it's also like you just like the drama or like the steaminess
Mm-hmm.
of like the soaps that keep you like going, and you're kind of just like rooting for your teams.
Yeah. Your ships.
Yes, there you go. And there's a lot of sex,
Yeah, there is a lot of sex.
which I enjoy.
And boobies.
Yeah, and penis, and pee-pee.
yeah, I'll say while this book is very sexual, it never seems like ogling ladies or ogling men.
Yeah.
No.
Fiona Staples is unmatched
Yeah.
in this, I think.
Mm-hmm.
She does a good job at handling sexuality in a way that's not camp or over the
Right.
top. Not that there's anything wrong with that. I think there's a place for camp and sexuality in like a lot of different arenas, but the way it's handled in this story fits the story really well.
Yeah. So, but yeah, it was reminded of, I was like, oh, this is my soap opera. I like weird ass sci-fi epic
Yeah.
shit, and I like care about this stuff, and it was good to meet the characters that I longed for, to meet them again and see where they're at.
Get some new characters.
Get them up. You got to do that. That's how you do a sequel.
Mm-hmm.
Is you throw in some new characters.
Star Wars did it.
Fast forward time a little bit. Yeah.
Percy Jackson did it.
Keep going. Ghostbusters.
Ghostbusters.
There you go.
Yeah, they introduce a new little thing. Sometimes it works. with like C-3PO with a red arm. Sometimes it doesn't work, like the female Slimer.
Oh, I'm not familiar with that.
It was in the 2016 reboot. There was a female gendered Slimer creature.
Oh, with the other female crew?
Yeah, but
Okay.
and
You complaining about this is a scary route to go down, Greg.
no, I'm just saying it's
now
like
they've got chicks being Slimers.
if you notice, I didn't complain about the cast of Ghostbusters,
All
just the
the
ridiculousness.
SJWs that wrote.
Ghosts are men, and that's where I draw my fucking line in the sand.
It seemed like a cheap money grab to have because there was a male Slimer and there was a female Slimer, and you're just like, where the fuck are we going with this? Are they gonna have sex? Are we gonna have baby Slimers? You know, I'm not the only one who thought that.
No, I feel you. Ghosts, having sex and repopulating, common thought. Lots of people
I
think
felt
that.
like Joe Rogan there for a minute, and I'd like to walk some of my comments back real
What's
quick.
next, non-binary Slimers? Come on.
They're probably vax, too.
Well, like the thing that pissed me off though is like
Ghosts don't need vaccines.
the only way you knew it was like a female gendered
Did it have like
Slimer.
had a bow?
It had a bow and like fucking earrings, like Miss Pac-Man or some shit. It was the dumbest
yeah.
move.
Well, okay. I get you. Sequels.
Don't even. You're about to say some heinous shit right
No,
now. I can see the wind up.
No, I think certain constructs of femininity, like earrings and bows, don't turn my penis inside out, make me want to die. But that's just me.
Make me want to die. All right, let's get back into Saga before I get fucking canceled.
It was a 3-year gap.
Yep. And then we got a 40-page rip-roaring comic.
This book was thick.
And
Yeah.
it was, I loved it. At everything, at
I
every
wish
turn.
it was 80 pages.
I was just like, oh my God, I can't stop reading this book.
That's my thing. So, I found my way to Saga through the collected editions. Like, I took too long to get to it. Couldn't even sniff an early issue in floppy form. So I just bought the, I don't know if you'd call them omnibuses, but the larger
Yeah,
collected
I
editions.
think they are
like
the omnibuses.
The three
Yeah.
hardbacks. And boy, are you spoiled reading them that way.
Oh, it's
Because this book is so addictive and you could just crush them. So this was, even though it was a longer issue, it was tough for me to just be like, I gotta stop now.
Yeah.
I had to go back and be like, I read an article of like the top 10 deaths of Saga to just like jog my memory of being like, who died and when? And then I like went back and read it. So, I mean, it was amazing. One thing that I love that it did is it established a previous hero, the Will, I guess. Sorry for using his name. As like now is like obviously villain and was a villain near the end of the last Saga. But I think they had to be like, hey, just so you know, this is going to be a villain.
Yeah.
And like, we're going to round this out. Like, his backstory. Because he definitely wasn't a villain, like, for most of Saga.
Well, the thing, they gave him like a romance and then took the person
Everything.
he loved away. Yeah, they took everything from him. And then the relationship he had with like our other characters in the the comic, where like purely and strictly like he had a job to do. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then we also saw him take care of a young girl,
Mm-hmm.
and that endeared us to him.
And save her from, like, sex trafficking.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly. So there's a lot of things going on.
And he had this cat, the lion cat, which I
Mhm.
think humanized him as well.
Yep. See, these are the things where I'm like, man, you don't have that sort of context for who the Will is. It just takes away so much from
And
the grandeur of the story.
it does. And it's like, I tried to read it through two lenses.
Yeah.
One of, like, what would it be like to just read this without?
Mm-hmm.
And I would be like, well, I would just assume the Will is, like, ultra bad. Or at least, like, relatable bad.
Yeah, or anti-hero, or like a Han Solo figure of just like, I don't know what he is, but it sounds like he's money oriented, and like people hire him to do jobs.
Right.
I tell you what, carrying around Marco's skull,
Pretty fucked up.
that was tough. Just like having gone on the emotional roller coaster of Saga, and then just seeing him reduced to like a token, like Here's proof that I killed him, and here's the skull of a character you know
and then
love.
Gwen's
That was crazy.
or is her name Gwendolyn? Like it doesn't matter, but
The
Marco's-
woman that they met on.
Marco's
Yeah.
ex.
Yeah.
I think they pushed her to the limit of almost too bad. Like they made her.
Like a Cersei character.
Yeah, they made her a little bit too like I just love like power and I want to end this war. Like she was kind of humanized before a little bit, and I felt like they needed to have a bad like they did with Prince Robot or whatever his name was.
Yeah.
And now it's like, oh, they are the bad and stuff. But I mean, in theory,
Well, maybe it's just like a absolute power corrupts.
Yeah.
Absolutely kind
well,
of scenario.
and knowing Brian K. Vaughan, they'll get redeemed and then we'll like them and then they'll die and then we'll
Yeah.
move along.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, there's a journey to go on here with all these characters. So
Which is crazy to think because we're in issue 55, and it's just like you would have thought we've seen their journey
right.
to completion, but no, ma'am, no, sir.
Well, it's at some point I think we're going to see the Wills reunion with the little girl he saved. Didn't happen this issue, and
I like
You know,
when the Will was fat.
that might grow him. Yeah, he got back in shape. I was
Mhm.
surprised.
Mm-hmm.
The last 3 years, he's kind of gotten his shit together.
Good for him.
I guess.
From couch to 10K.
You know what? They did tell us that the next issue is going to kind of be the fallout surrounding Prince Robot's death, which I thought was interesting.
Okay.
So it's going to take us back in time a little bit and be like, here's what happened,
Mm-hmm.
which again kills me to be like, okay, now I got to wait a month
Right.
to get a story that like happened in the interim.
Mm-hmm.
And then we're going to get back to like where we are now. And
Yeah.
like, I'm like, God, just let me read it all at once.
Seriously.
It might,
Just
I-
release a trade.
I might honestly wait
Just
for
pause.
the trades.
One of my favorite things was like forgetting to read them a couple months in a row,
Uh-huh.
and then at least have like 3 to do.
Yeah,
And then I was like, "Ooh, that was nice."
yeah, totally.
3 sagas in a row is nice. The way to go.
I did love seeing the new family unit
Mm-hmm.
that Alana Hazel and Sire
Mm-hmm.
had kind of created. There's a
New guy like Robba Ding Dong.
yeah, he's got like koala ears, and a nose, but otherwise looks like a
With
humanoid.
like a robot arm or something.
Yeah, it looks like a patchwork man. Like he has
Yes.
multiple parts from different things thrown together.
Yeah, very
It
interesting.
kind of looks like Hank Hill.
Yeah,
Little-
okay. He reminds me of the dude from
Yeah, there you go.
that movie. Yeah.
Big Lebowski.
Yes. Like he has that same vibe of just like, hey man, watch out for the carpet.
Yeah, totally.
Oh, what about that Alana is now a drug dealer? Like the whole
That reveal was fantastic.
what's
Yeah.
that called? What's that show?
They're smugglers.
The Showtime show where she sells
Shameless.
weeds. It's called
Weeds. Yeah.
Where it's like it's essentially weeds now.
Yeah.
Weeds in space.
Well, and
Mommy sells weedy.
Weeds in space.
so we're still getting the narrative through like a grown-up Hazel,
Mm-hmm.
and so it's
Do we know how old Hazel is
Yeah,
through
she's
this narrative?
she's 10. She's almost 10.
No. Like she's obviously
Oh,
narrating
where
this book.
she is. Well, it's like written in like kid like language, right? So it might be now.
Like present.
Yeah,
Okay.
it might have always been now, like beforehand. It might have been
Sure.
10-year-old, and then we reached current.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think so because
Okay.
there's some omniscience I think to the
Oh, okay.
way it's spoken. Like we'll find that out later.
Okay.
Or
So maybe it's 13 or something. Or...
it could be 3 years from now. Could be 10.
Yeah.
It's definitely a kid, though, right?
Well, I don't know, like, cause the clue. I found a clue when she was talking about the watch. She gave kind of the hint that like, the watch is working now. In 6 months, it's not going to be working.
Oh, yeah.
And so you're just like, okay, well, so she's like way in the future. So she's like recanting this to someone. We assume it's just us, the reader,
Yeah.
that she's recanting this story to. I think we're going to find out
So she's telling the story to someone else.
she's telling the story to somebody else.
It's like a never-ending story shit.
Yeah, exactly.
We were told, and we've been told in the past that Saga is an ending story. That-
Oh, yeah, that has an end?
Yeah, I think it's 100 issues. He
Yeah,
said.
it's some wacky ass number.
He
Brian
had, like-
K. Vaughan was like,
Yeah.
107.
I think so. When they stopped at like 100, when they stopped at 54, I think he was like, this was the halfway point. We've got another halfway to go.
Mhm.
Um,
Which is wild.
Yeah, totally.
So cool.
But I did love the quippiness of Alana telling Hazel and Sire, we're smugglers. And then in the side, Hazel's narration,
We're drug dealers. I loved
It's-
Sire.
Yeah.
Yeah, you do,
I
yeah.
loved that they are playing him up as like a nonverbal, kind of possibly on the spectrum, facing a lot of trauma
Yeah.
kid. And I think that being explored in this book is going to be absolutely fascinating.
Totally.
Because in the hands of Brian K. Vaughan, you're just like, this character is going to be beloved almost immediately. Like, people are going to like gravitate towards this little kid because he's just like so adorable, and like we may see him become more verbal as he like gets more comfortable with his family or something happens in his life. So like I'm just really anxious to see what this character blossoms into.
Well, part of me wonders if he becomes like, when he gets
Oh,
older.
like a bad guy, yeah.
Yeah, when he gets older and like kind of learns
Like
about
Bane.
his history and heritage, he's like, "Whoa, what the fuck?" You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So there's all kinds of
It's kind of
intensity going on there.
sad to think about how Alana was pregnant and lost a kid after Hazel.
Yeah.
And it's like, so she, physically I think she was pretty far along too.
Yeah, she was.
Like thought, she was going to have a kid and stuff. And then now has this other kid that she's treating like, she's calling her son, I think. Or it's like they call each other brother and sister.
Right.
So it's kind of cool writing. Like,
Yeah, I mean, it's. I wish Caitlin was here because she works so in depth with the foster care system and adoption that is kind of how families work. Like that deal with adoption or fostering. It's just like you take on those roles. Sometimes it's just like this is my brother. Like
you're my brother.
exactly, yes. Like I'm your brother.
Mm-hmm.
Like we are brothers on this podcast.
I'm kind of the odd one out.
Self-imposed.
Yeah. There's a price.
There's a price to become a brother.
Uh-huh.
This is a frat now.
I wasn't willing to do it.
Drink the beer out of the
The
lizard.
ritual was too weird.
No, I think that this I read somewhere like some like little quick like write up of it of like a quick review that was like, oh, this read like generic comic book or something like that.
Who said, what jaded idiot said that?
It was some dumbass
This
website.
red generic comic book. There's like a crazy like fucking scene in the middle of the
Yeah,
book that's like
There's a suicide bomber scene.
That was the
Yeah.
scene they pulled from it too. To like
Give me a
reference
fucking
God.
break.
and I'm just like, do people just like people love to just hate on what's popular?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
totally.
Which I guess
100%.
I started doing by comparing if you are a fan of this being a fan of potato chips and air. But I am a huge fan of this comic book.
I don't think that's a fair comparison because, like,
No, I just was saying like you can't
it's accessible.
you can't stand this and nerd out on it. I think you could still be a fan of it, like, because it's not there. It has reached popularity that it's like Sonic the Hedgehog. It's not like
No. I don't think this is like
Think
Sonic the
Saga's comparable
Hedgehog.
to Sonic the Hedgehog.
I still think this is like
Belly laugh. Oh.
this is still cult hit level,
you think okay.
but it's
It's
just
a
like
comic book, of course it is.
it's just like
No, you're right. Thank you for grounding me in
yeah.
reality.
I
You're
mean,
right.
it's not hokey or like commercial like Sonic the Hedgehog or whatever, but
Yeah.
it's just like it connects. That's why I mean when I say it's accessible,
7 million
it's,
editions though. I mean, it's a lot.
it's connected with a lot of people. Like
Sold
a
more
lot of
comic
shit
books
is
than-
covered in this
yeah.
book that is more than just comic book, situations
well,
that happen.
you know what? Twitter, let us know which is more popular, Sonic or Sonic.
No, Twitter, do not let us know. Discord, let us know.
Do as you will.
Yeah, mind your business. We'll mind ours. We just put this out there in the world. We don't intend anyone to listen to it or respond to it. This is just for us.
Yeah. Sometimes we forget to release them.
All right, is that Saga for us?
Yeah.
Are you
Night-
gonna keep buying floppies?
Yeah,
I am.
I had the question of just like, did it live up to the hype of being gone for almost 3 years and being able to deliver a captivating story?
Yes.
I was riveted the entire time reading it.
Yeah.
And
And
I'm also gonna to answer your question. I'm like, am I gonna keep buying it? Is just that like I own them all.
Yeah,
so
so
it's
you
like
got to.
weird to not
Mhm.
own the rest. Yeah.
Mhm.
What were you gonna say though?
Shit. What was I gonna say?
I had to get my thing out, so then
Yeah.
I fucked you.
You were
over.
captivated.
Oh, well, part of me thinks that like I've spent so long with these characters, and this is something I think that speaks to like the creative team staying the same for so long
Mm-hmm.
that whatever happens in subsequent issues, I almost take it as like that's how the story goes. You know what I mean? Like it all seems so like planned and
Right.
set in motion that for me to have a take with these creators to be like they shouldn't have done that with so and so, or like this issue should have been this way instead of that way.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's been too good for
Sure.
too long, and these people have had sole ownership over who these characters are forever. That like I don't think as fans of it we should be like disappointed in what they're doing with the characters. It's they've earned the right to tell the story they want to tell how they want to tell it at this point, and I just like enjoy it for what it is.
One thing I do kind of wish they do now is like a little bit of victory lap stuff, because I don't think they thought it was gonna be as huge as it was when it started. And like Chew, another
Well, even during the hiatus, when you think of like how many more copies
yeah.
sold,
Mm-hmm.
it got bigger than they thought it was going to get.
so Chew, like obviously a comic I'm a fan of from Image, like realized its hype in the last 20 issues and like did fun fan service shit. So they
Mhm.
do like, you know, a backwards issue or an issue with no words. They didn't do those things, but things like that,
Yeah.
they were kind of just like playing on the medium.
Yeah,
Maybe they'd like,
Poyo got a one shot.
yeah, exactly. They gave Poyo a one shot. A lot of self-referential stuff, kind of like some hidden gems. And I kind of wish Saga would have a like metacognition to be like, let's do some fan service and do some crossovers or some like fuck around and shit.
I honestly don't see that happening. Not
I-
because
It's weird because it doesn't feel like it takes itself that serious, but by not doing that, it does.
exactly, but like it's not. This isn't like a pretentious comic either.
Right.
But it does feel very cool. If that's weird to say, it's just like I'm reading a very cool comic book. Like,
Yeah.
if like somebody from Vice magazine came over and was just like saw me reading Saga, they'd be like, "Oh, cool," and like I would be like not picked on for being a fat 35-year-old reading a comic book.
I hate to say that I like completely agree with that take.
But you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I don't see them doing like, and I'm not saying gimmicky things as like a derogatory thing, but like I think BKV is just like, I have a story in mind. I need to stay on the tracks or else.
And he's got so many things else to do. This isn't like his only thing.
Right,
Iron in the
right.
fire. He
Yeah.
can't like be playful enough.
Exactly.
But I mean, I think they'll do some like merch, you know, and like be hyped about the merch and stuff because they did that before.
Oh, yeah. They did toys
Yeah.
that are expensive, and you probably shouldn't let your like young daughter play with or mess up. Which
yeah.
none of us here would do.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
They go for like $25 a piece, and like it's got some small parts.
Hey, you know what? You gotta do what you gotta do.
Mike, Budget King. No,
But
Budget King did
yeah.
do that.
Yes,
That's
I did,
That's
yeah.
the joke if everyone's not getting it.
Mm-hmm. I also, what's funny is I thought you were. I was like, oh, how did you know that I bought the Pong? Like I bought this like special edition Chew glow in the dark toad. Like
Oh, cool. Okay.
Like or whatever, and like my dog ate it.
Oh no.
You need to put your cool shit on higher shelves.
I know, right? But yeah, my Saga toys.
Yeah, I mean, like if they sold like plushies or like stuffed animals, like those would sell like
Mhm.
fucking so stupid at Comic Cons and whatever. But
I had a shitty ass
There's a-
lion cat shirt that was like terribly printed. It was like a transfer print, but it was an official Saga merch.
yeah,
And so I was like, oh, gotta buy. And it's like the shittiest shirt that I own. It's so fucking dumb. Screen print that shit, BKV, my man.
They did make Goose
Yeah.
plushies for a little bit.
Oh, did they?
hmm
everybody loves that
I
little
was
guy.
I was texting.
I've never heard the word out loud because there's
it's
an
got
umlaut.
an umlaut
Yeah.
over the U,
Goose.
so I think it's Goose.
Goose. It's not Gus.
But I texted you guys while we were leading the week leading up to this, where when I was reading Saga, I was just constantly like, don't kill the little the little seal man from Maine.
Because they killed the rats. So
Hashtag
Yeah.
let goose live.
I
or the
know.
ferrets or whatever. Yeah.
Please let him live.
Yeah. There we go.
Yeah. That was Saga.
Saga.
Bye. Meet us on the Patreon. We'll see you later.
Got a lot of shit there.
What a reigning endorsement. Goodbye, everyone.
First Issue Club is brought to you by Boulevard Brewing Company via Space Camper Cosmic IPA. Our music is courtesy of the fine folks at Primary Color Music. You can find, friend, and follow us on social media at First Issue Club or firstissueclub.com. You can support First Issue Club by joining us on our Patreon for additional content at patreon.com/firstissueclub.